Hi, I'm Shannon Whiteside, Program Director, and I want to briefly talk about the role of the teacher in a Charlotte Mason education. Mason says the art of standing aside to let the child develop the relations proper to him is the fine art of education. She also calls the teacher a guide, philosopher, and friend. But what does that look like? Standing aside doesn't mean teachers are completely out of the picture or not involved in the learning process. The definition of standing aside means to move a few steps to the right or left. There is still an important role for the teacher, but it may not be the one we usually think of. When you think back to how you were educated, what would you say was the role of the teacher? The art of asking good questions, the art of creating interesting oral lessons and lectures, the art of keeping students' attention, or the art of helping students make connections? Mason says that all education is self-education. As the teacher stands aside, the students can become the active learners. Instead of the teacher doing all the activities, the students can have ownership over their education. Mason turns the traditional teacher centered paradigm upside down. Instead of the teacher having to ask all the questions, when students narrate, they are internally asking themselves questions about the text, such as what happened next? What was the conflict? Who are the characters? Instead of the teacher keeping students' attention, the students develop the habit of attention and learn to attend, knowing that they will be asked to narrate and be held accountable. Instead of the teacher creating interesting oral lessons and lectures, the children find enjoyment in their books, in the artwork or music, or in time in nature. Instead of the teacher pointing out all the connections, the students are free to make their own connections and have those aha moments. Why is it important for teachers to stand aside? If education is the science of relations, then the teacher's job is to allow those relationships to grow. Relationship with God, with humankind, and with the universe. The teacher's role is to present one mind to another. The books, the paintings, the music, the poems, the natural world should be the focus. Not what we have to say about it. We make the introduction and let the child continue the relationship. If the teacher is supposed to stand aside, what exactly is their role? Mason says the teacher is to indicate, stimulate, direct, and constrain to the acquisition of knowledge. Indicate refers to the teacher's role to provide a feast for the students through the means of books and things. We are to expose them to all the domains of knowledge and set them in a direction so they can engage with all those subjects. To stimulate is to make a person excited or interested in something. We don't need to entertain children with a catchy hook or activities to get their attention, but we can whet their appetite by showing enthusiasm and interest in the various subjects. Even if we don't know that much about a topic, we can be fellow learners who anticipate what we can learn together. Direct means to cause someone's attention, thoughts, emotions to relate to a particular person, thing, or goal. We are providing the best conditions for students to be able to attend to their lessons. This can include the schedule we create, the learning atmosphere, and the expectations we set up. To constrain means to hold back. We are not telling them what to think about the book or what connections they should make. We can share our thoughts and show interest, but we should also feel like we are holding back at times to let them come to their own conclusions and make their own connections. When we stand aside, we get a chance to see their mind at work, to get their perspective, and hear what ideas struck them. We get to know them better. We are the sympathetic listener and fellow learner with them. We are taking a different stance than the all knowing teacher. We are taking a stance of humility and saying we can learn from our students. They have so much to teach us. As they encounter new ideas and gain new insight, I can't expect a student to have the same thoughts as I have about a book or an event or a person. I love this part of Charlotte Mason's approach because I can actually sit with my students and hear their thoughts. I don't have to evaluate them for what they don't know or for what they don't understand, but I can focus on what they do know. It's a relational approach, which allows both teacher and student to recognize each other as persons. As Mason says, the ideal teacher is an enthusiast. As you show your own enthusiasm from the side, you will be a guide, philosopher, and friend. I hope this gives you a sense of freedom as a teacher as you allow students to learn for themselves and accompany them along the way. Thank you for joining me.